Welcome to issue 5 of the LifeCast, a video cast about pretty much anything. I do the LifeCast about whatever I find interesting. It's a weekly show, and this week I'm doing a couple of issues in order to try and catch up. Now, in the last issue, I covered my thoughts, my feelings on Man of Steel. And so in this issue, I thought I would talk about the Batman v Superman trailer that was released at SDCC this year. That's San Diego Comic-Con. Now, I'll start off by saying I have no inside knowledge or connections whatsoever to DC or Warner Brothers. This is purely just what I think is the most obvious progression of events for the franchise. So I'll have to wait and see what happens and how close I am in the year when the movie's released. But I want to issue a spoiler alert. Not a spoiler like I have, knowledge of what's going to happen. The trailer's been out for everyone. But however, if what I say makes sense or happens to end up being close to what actually happens, I don't want anyone emailing me or tweeting me saying that I ruined it for them. So since the movie won't be out for another year, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to get out of the Hangout or stop the video. A year from now, after you watch the movie, come back and watch the YouTube and see how close I ended up being to the movie, if at all. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. Here we go. Before I get started, however, so it's a little extra time for you. If you didn't get out already, I just wanted to talk about TeamViewer, just sort of, heads up on something, a recommendation. So TeamViewer is remote desktop software, much like Microsoft's remote desktop connection, Go to My PC. There are a ton of others out there, VNC viewers, something like that. I've used TeamViewer and the others before. TeamViewer in particular, it wasn't really until recently that I found out how versatile it really is. Right now, I have it running on my Windows computer, my iMac, and my Linux box. So I'm easily connecting into each one no matter where I am. And the fact that I was able to install it on the Linux box is what really impressed me. And just being able to sit back and see the list of like 6 or 7 computers, it's just really versatile. Can't say enough good things. So if you're looking for remote desktop software, definitely I would say check it out. It's free for personal use, and if you are using it in a work environment, that's when you're supposed to really pay for it. So anyways, in regards to the Batman v Superman trailer, I've listened to a few other ideas about the trailer and what's going on in it, and I've developed a few ideas of my own, and so I thought I'd go through it, especially since I talked about Man of Steel, which kind of leads right into it. So right now, I'm of two minds when I watch the trailer. So I'll go through the trailer with my first idea of what's going on, and then I'll go through the trailer after that with sort of my second, it's a bit different of an idea. So my first idea is, if you watch the trailer, there are many undertones of Superman being worshipped as a god, and about whether it's good to have someone with all that power, with the sort of sort of push and pull power between him and the government. Because as I said in Man of Steel, you really get to see that, I mean, the army and the government too would just be pretty much powerless. I mean, no matter what their show of power is, they really can't do anything to him at all. You know, when it all comes down to it, he could just pretty much take off into orbit and, you know, bye bye. I mean, how are they going to find him? Um, so, anyways, as I was saying before in my thoughts of Man of Steel, that movie is different from the other or the other Superman movies that came before it, because, you know, Lois Lane already knows that Clark Kent is Superman. You know, it's just the whole starting of it is a bit different. And so in Batman v Superman, you know, if we see that Batman thinks Superman needs to be eliminated because of all the power he holds, and as the saying goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if you put all that together, my idea is that these movies are actually taking place in the alternate reality of the Gods Among Us storyline. If you've read that story arc, you'll know that it takes place in an alternate reality within the multiverse, the DC multiverse. If that is what they are doing, that's definitely a really awesome idea, because then you end up, you know, being able to have two different actors playing Batman, two different stories, because they're from different realities. You know, I mean, that's just my thought. Maybe that's not what it is, or, you know, maybe there are similarities because they're drawing from that storyline, but not necessarily setting it in that alternate reality. But I'll go through the trailer and say what I think about the different scenes, why it for me, it points to it being in the Gods Among Us reality. So the trailer starts off with Superman in court as they talk about, you know, the damage that was caused in Man of Steel, the casualties, while Superman was fighting General Zod and the other Kryptonians that were following General Zod. We also see that Bruce Wayne was there during the fights, and one of the buildings that was damaged was Wayne Financial. The next interesting scene is of Lex Luthor looking at Superman, who is kneeling before him. We also see General Zod's body being taken away with an army escort. So, you know, in the Gods Among Us storyline, Lex Luthor it is experimenting with Kryptonian DNA and Kryptonian technology. He creates Superboy, which is a blending of Superman's DNA, I believe, and his own. And he also creates, in the Gods Among Us storyline, a sort of superpowered exoskeleton suit from the Kryptonian technologies, which he is inside. So my thought here is that he's been doing experiments with Kryptonian DNA, a la General Zod. So the Superman kneeling before him may be his own creation. You know, it's a clone using the Kryptonian DNA. We also see in another scene Lex with a green kryptonite. So another possibility would be that he's figured out what it does to Kryptonians, and he's using it somehow to blackmail Superman or weaken Superman. There's another scene where Superman is surrounded by troops who are kneeling to him, and they have the Superman symbol on the arm of their suits. So this might again point to, you know, Lex creating a clone of Superman, and these are the troops that follow him. There's another scene of Lex saying, "The Red Capes are coming, the Red Capes are coming," and I think he was saying it in a mocking way rather than it supposed to be in an intimidating way. Because in Gods Among Us, after Superman loses Lois Lane and his unborn son, he decides to take matters into his own hands and end all of the world's disputes. So these red capes could be that army that we saw that were kneeling before Superman. And so, if this is a clone of Superman and Lex put them in place to fool the world into believing that Superman has this army and he's taking over the world or trying to rule them in fear, this is the fear of the red capes. People would be saying, oh my God, the red capes are coming, the red capes are coming. And that is the way I sort of see him saying it, as if he's mocking them, at what they're going to be saying when this happens. So then we have the scene with Superman's Earth Mother, and she's telling him that he doesn't owe the world anything, so he can be the world's savior. He can save people, or if he chooses, be nothing. Just leave the world and let them fend for themselves, because he doesn't owe the world anything. So perhaps I'm thinking, after the government's actions against Superman in court and about the casualties, he decides to leave the superhero world behind and just be Clark Kent. So Lex, then seeing his absence, it's the best time to put his clone to work as a replacement Superman with this army. Now we also see Wonder Man in the movie, and she is an integral part of the Gods Among Us story. So I mean, it's a movie, and it's could be based loosely, because there are some changes. Like, for instance, in Gods Among Us, the Joker, as I said, he causes Superman to lose Lois Lane and his unborn son. But here in this movie, we see a Robin suit, and Batman's looking at it, and it has Joker's writing on it saying, haha, joke's on you, Batman. Now, we know Damian was Bruce Wayne's son. He was also Robin. So if the Joker had killed Batman's son, it would be different from the comic storyline, but it would still be the killing of one of the superhero's son at his hands. Now we see Wonder Woman fighting someone. We also see who is meant to be Batman fighting those forces who follow Superman. Then we see Batman breaking into LexCorp, which would link the fact that those troops are fighting. If it's a fake Batman, that could have also been set up by Lex Luthor to sort of lead the world into believing that he is fighting back against these troops, and so to get the people to rally against Superman and to sort of start this fighting and this backlash. So we get next Batman fighting Superman, and as I said earlier, there's the scene with Lex and the green kryptonite. Now, Batman being able to hurt Superman, it's just not possible, unless somehow it is the Superman clone, and somehow he's meant to fight Batman for some reason that Lex has determined, or this is a weakened Superman made by whatever Lex has done with the green kryptonite. We'll see. Now, after watching the trailer a few times, as I was thinking of this, and then I started putting my thoughts together. I also kind of watched the Suicide Squad trailer, and I came to a new idea of how it all goes down, because I think right now DC is trying to do sort of the Marvel thing where it all connects in their universe, right? And so whether it takes place in Gods Among Us reality or not, that's aside. So when I thought about it, so there's a scene with Lex Luthor, and he's talking to the Congresswoman. Then there's a scene with the army troops carrying General Zod's body somewhere. So what I think is that Lex made a hush-hush deal with the government, um, in order to study the Kryptonian DNA and body to find a weakness. Because in time, if Superman ever disagrees with the U.S. government on what they're doing or what is right, he's so powerful, they're going to want to have a weapon to use against him or know some sort of weakness. And of course, Lex Luthor is, ultimate intelligence, and he's obviously working for himself, so he's going to present as if he's helping them in order to gain the tools he needs, the General Zod's body, the freedom to work on it, and stuff like that. And of course he's going to study the DNA. We'll get more into that. So next, if you go to the Suicide Squad trailer, there's a scene where Amanda Waller is talking to some army personnel, some generals or whatever. And so, the general dude says, I heard some of them have abilities. And then Amanda Waller says, it's like Superman was a beacon for them to step out of the shadows. Now, a lot of people think that this is pertaining to Suicide Squad. But when I watched it again and thinking of Batman v Superman, I think she's talking about other superheroes who are stepping out of the shadows after seeing Superman, come out to the world as this, using his abilities for good. Because, why would Superman be a beacon for bad guys, right? So, in Batman v Superman, when Batman breaks into LexCorp, it's been rumored that he sees the Flash and Aquaman on surveillance screens. So I think this is what Waller was talking about with the super beings, with Superman being a beacon for them to step out of the shadows, and the surveillance shows them doing stuff, and, so we see next we see Batman looking at the Robin suit with the haha, jokes on you Batman written on it in Joker's handwriting. We see Bruce Wayne training, trying to get back in shape, looking at the Batman suit. There's a scene of him going to what I would assume is sort of Wayne Manor or the Batcave of some sort, and it's very dilapidated, looks unused and overgrown. So what I'm thinking here is that Robin was killed by the Joker, which made Batman walk away from being Batman. And so, now for some reason he wants to get back into it, whether he opposes Superman, the destruction he caused or whatever. So now we get to the scene where Ma Kent is telling him, that he doesn't know the world anything. And we see Superman saving people, and then hearing as the government wants to hold him accountable for the casualties from his actions. So then we see Clark Kent and his editor arguing as Clark Kent is writing stories against the vigilante of the Batman. So what I'm thinking is that Superman decides, he's saving lives, and he's being prosecuted and hated because they know him and they know he's not from Earth. While this vigilante Batman is in the shadows and he's able to operate and no one seems to care. So I think he decides to step away from the superhero role. I think Lex Luthor then uses the green kryptonite to possibly imprison him or weaken him, and then use his Superman clone and this army, the Red Capes, to take over that role. So I think, as I said before, when he's saying the red capes are coming, the red capes are coming, it's meant in a mocking way, as if, that's what people will say in fair. So then we see Batman, um, he breaks into LexCorp. We see Wonder Woman fighting something big. So I think the times where people think Batman and Superman are fighting, I think it's actually Lex's clone that has made the world fear Superman, that Superman has too much power. And I think Batman finds out about the green kryptonite, finds out about what Lex has been doing, and that it's not actually the Superman but the clone. And so then that goes to the epic battle between the two Supermen, and you get that scene where Superman's flying and uses his laser vision. So I think there's going to be that epic battle between the two of them, but the kill shot is going to be made by Batman using a green kryptonite bullet, and he's going to kill the clone Superman, the evil Superman, who's either led by Lex or the government or whatever. Maybe in the beginning it starts out as the government, and then Lex starts using him for his personal thing. So, as I said before, the thought that Batman could get the kill shot in on Superman with his strength, his speed, his super hearing, that's just crazy. It's impossible. But I think because he and the clone are distracted fighting one another, they don't even notice Batman. That's how he's able to make the kill shot. I think there's gonna be a crazy movie making line, something like Superman saying, "I'm glad you killed the right one," to Batman, and then Batman saying something like, "There's still one in the chamber." Where still one in the chamber would have like all kinds of meanings, right? It could be the fact that he intended to kill them both. That's why he has two, green kryptonite bullets. Still one in the chamber could mean he knows his weakness and he's going to keep that bullet for future use if it's ever needed. Of course, there would be a look between them, sort of a pause, to increase the tension a little bit. Superman's trying to look through the gun with his X-ray vision. Maybe it's lead lined, or he actually does see the bullet and he knows that Batman's serious. Something like that. That's gonna be sort of the big oomph moment of the whole movie. So, at this point now, we'll have Wonder Woman, we'll have Batman, we'll have Superman, and then the introduction of Flash and Aquaman, as Batman saw in the monitors. Now, these will all be members of the Justice League, so it sort of sets the stage for the upcoming movies. General Zod's body, still around. Lex Luthor now has knowledge of the DNA, so who knows what's going on there. Maybe he had only one clone, maybe he didn't. Maybe now that clone's dead. I mean, it could just lead to all sorts of stuff. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts on how I think it's going to go down. So pretty much in a year, we'll see how close I was. We'll see what actually happens. I'm hoping it's partially right, because that's just kind of a crazy movie when it goes through in my head, and I want this movie to be kind of epic. So I'm definitely gonna be trying to see it on opening week, for the main fact of I want to see how close I came or not. So there you have it, issue 5 of the LifeCast. I hope that prompted some sort of thought on your part, whether you agree or not. So take it easy.